Good morning. Welcome to your neighborhood Unitarian Universalist congregation. My name is Rev Sally Fritsche, and I am delighted to serve as minister to this congregation here on the treaty land of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. It is wonderful to be here with you today. Many thanks to our guest musician, Cathy Nostay, who played our gathering music and who will be playing for us and with us throughout today's service. Cathy is a musician, composer, music director, and teaching artist. She's scored over 100 productions for regional independent theater companies across Canada and a dozen documentary films. She began her musical training as a classical pianist and has grown in many directions, as we have just seen, with a love of creative collaboration and improvisation and a commitment to justice efforts for our climate and communities. We are honored to have her here with us this morning. Welcome, Cathy. For those of us in person, please remember to be aware of the various needs and boundaries as we gather together in person, honoring our mask-required seating area, keeping aisles clear for mobility devices, and remembering that we're a community of many ages and abilities, which means we embrace any little noises or distractions might come with being together. We are committed to a love that makes space for all. If you have a phone or other device that can be silenced, I invite you to do that now, unless your device is something you need to access and participate in the service. And folks of all ages are invited to make themselves comfortable, whatever that means for you. That means move, stretch, fidget, get your knitting done. Feel free to spend time at our activity table where there are art supplies and fidgets. If you're new and would like us to keep in touch, please fill out a newcomer card, which looks like this, is in the back of the chairs around you, with your contact info, and leave it in the offering plate when it goes around later in the service. Whoever you are, wherever you are in your relationship to religion, to spirituality, and to this place, we are glad you are here. Let's take just a moment to remember that we are all here together, and turn to greet those around us with a good morning, a smile, a bow, a handshake, whatever you choose. And after you've greeted and introduced yourself to someone here, remember to wave at everyone on Zoom. Those on Zoom, unmute yourself and greet your fellow online viewers. And we'll ring our chime to bring us back together in a moment. Joe, this way. Like, all right, what a joy it is to have such a full house, and I trust that many of these conversations will continue in coffee hour after the service. And I am joined here today by our wonderful service weaver, Gordon Thorne.
Thank you, Reverend Sally. As I greet you today, I acknowledge this land, the people, and all other beings, animate and inanimate, today as well as the ancestors. This area has been a place of communities coming together for over 15,000 years. The Mississaugas of the Credit First Nations are the treaty holders of this land. The Wendat and the Haudenosaunee Confederacy lived here before me and are living here now together with other First Nations, Métis and Inuit. I offer my gratitude to our First Nations for their care for and teachings about our earth and our relations, and I will work to honor those teachings. I'm also mindful of broken covenants and the need to strive to make right with all our relations, sharing stories and telling the truth of this place. Now, I invite you to join me in reading our invocation, which is on the screens above and are on either side. Let us cast the circle of a sacred space here. Let us cast the circle of a cherished space here. A space of safety, a place of forgiveness, a place of love. If we want the world to change, we must craft in our space and in ourselves the seeds that grow a different kind of life. A life of graciousness, of creative intelligence, a place of life and spirit for ourselves and our families. Our faith adopted the symbol of the chalice burning bright, and each week we light the chalice to create a sacred space. This morning I've asked Dave Zalakar to come up and light the chalice for us. Instead of lighting the flame anew, Dave's going to take the light from the children's flame and light the larger chalice. This practice honors each child as a vital part of our community and reminds us of our covenant to grow spiritually, letting our spirit mature. We light this chalice to remember, to light the fire within our own heart. I'm going to turn it over to Cathy for our first song. It's a wonderful instrumental piece called Old Friend. This month, we've been exploring our third principle, acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. But as a childhood piano teacher once told us all, whoever took piano lessons, to get better, you have to practice. And that's our theme for today. We've probably heard someone say, I'm doing this as a spiritual practice. And I always take that to mean that we're doing something that we don't like or that doesn't come naturally to us. And in the process of doing it, we learn something about ourselves. Take diet. I'm a pescatarian, which means I won't eat anything with fur and feathers because I believe the world can't continue to feed itself on a Western diet of meat. It's not sustainable. What I've learned from that is that taste and flavor don't come from large chunks of protein. They don't, and I also have learned that I don't feel deprived by not eating meat. And it is a small thing that I can do that cares for the world. But diet, as a spiritual practice, is a large part of many faiths. In Judaism, there's kosher food, and in Islam, halal. Many Catholics only eat fish on Fridays during Lent. Buddhist monks vow not to eat meat, and Jains are vegan. Many faiths use fasting as a spiritual practice. In Islam, it's a fundamental pillar. It strengthens faith, it fosters empathy for the poor, and increases gratitude. The point is that it isn't easy for a reason. The effort leads to understanding, and understanding helps you grow. In the words of William James, the greatest revolution of our generation is the discovery that human beings, by changing their inner attitudes of their minds, can change their outer aspects of their lives. Okay, Cathy, do you have any more music for us?
Sure. So, in the spirit of practice, 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 we thought it would be fun to do some vocal warm-ups and to hear every voice in the room. So let's start by all just taking a deep breath through your nose and exhale. Another one. And now we're going to take a breath in through our nose for 2 counts. And actually, let's put your hands here on your ribs. Take another deep breath in and feel this part of your body expand with air. And then expel it with another ah. Ready? Very nice. So now we're going to take a deep breath in through our nose for 2 counts. And then we're going to make a sound like a leaky balloon, air hissing. Because a lot of singing is about using your breath and being able to control your breath in a way that can amplify your voice. So, okay, breath in for 2 counts. Good. Let's try that again. Breathe in for 2 counts. Then we'll do the leaky balloon sound for 18 counts. And don't clench your jaw. Try to keep a relaxed jaw. Okay, here we go. Give me a thumbs up if you had any air to spare. You still have some air? Okay, very nice. In that case, let's go right to the very end of your one breath and keep that leaky balloon sound as long as you have the air to sustain. Here we go. Big breath. awesome. So now let's go. Maybe some people are like natural scuba divers. They don't need they just have the long breath. Okay, so let's do a yawn and stretch. Good, with a little shake at the end of that. Great. And one more, and we'll do a vocal slide from high to low. Ready? Great. We'll do one more from low high to low, back high, and throw your voice up in the air like fireworks. Here we go. Big breath. Wonderful. It's almost like a roller coaster. Let's do one more of those. Big breath. And while we're up there, let's all say, "Oh my! And are we happy to be gathered together? Together we would say, "Oh, yes!" One more, "Oh, yes." "Oh, yes!" Wonderful. So now let's warm up our mouth a little bit. Get on your Vespa scooter. We're going to do a lip buzz. Very nice. Cool. And now to warm up our face, let's do a big lion face, a surprised face. And now face as though you bit into a tiny piece of lemon. Another lion face. Lemon face. Lion face. Another lion face. One more lemon face. Very, very nice. So now let's try on this pitch. It's important. So we'll enunciate with bay, bee, bye, bo, boo. Say that with me. Bay, bee, bye, bo, boo. On that pitch. Bay, bee, bye, bo, boo. Now fay. Fay, bee, bye, bo, boo. Now hey. Hey, bee, bye, bo, boo. Now day. Day, dee, die, do, do. Now lay. Lay, bee, bye, bo, boo. Now may. May, bee, bye, bo, boo. Now pay. No, let's do ray. Ray, bee, bye, bo, boo. Say. Say, see, si, so, su. Zay. Zay, see, si, so, su. And tay. Tay, tee, die, do, do. Now let's do an arpeggio. We'll do one more. Let's see. So where you are, we're gonna just stretch your arms out. We're gonna sing. I open the door. Let's do that together. I open the door. 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 Two more. I open the door. Last one. I open the door. Thank you.
Hello. I'm Julia. This is the Time for All Ages, and I want to introduce my new friend, Kat, to you. Kat has been hanging out with the kids and me in the Rainbow Room, getting to know everybody. And so now it's your turn to get to know them. And Kat, I bet the kids are wondering too. I see that I can't help noticing that you have a big bag with you. And I think we're all kind of curious to know what's in it, right?
Well, this is my trusty sack that I bring everywhere with me, obviously, on the TTC, to massages, to visit my friends, everywhere. So, I thought I would show you what is in my bag.
Maybe one of you have 2 guesses each.
2 guesses.
A bird.
A bird? Okay, good guess.
Hold the microphone for the next guess, because I know you like doing that.
A big green beanbag. With
Okay.
Any guesses? Okay. You want to? Oh yes. Does Francisco have a guess?
Is it a Grinch? I didn't know.
Maybe when they're older, they can guess. All right. Well, there's so many things that I bring with me, so we're going to go deep diving, but the first thing that I always bring with me in my bag is my fountain pen. So it's a Mickey fountain pen. Hopefully everybody can see that. I'll open it up too. It's beautiful. I love it so much. My now wife bought it for me. It's very special to me because I love writing. I'm a poet. It's something that I feel I connect best with people when I am creative. And also, it's something that I do for fun and something that I do therapeutically as well. So on my free time, you'll find me writing for folks. And also, I took a creative publishing course. So I'm technically a creative book publisher, which is kind of a cool thing, I guess. All right, next. Oh, all right.
Another deep dive.
Deep dive. Okay.
Just don't get lost in there.
Well, I might. I'm pretty short, so I could probably fit in here. So, okay. So the next thing is this little note. So I carry this little note with me everywhere I go. So this note means a lot to me. It says, "Have a good day at school. You're awesome. From Salvador to Catherine." And it has a little heart on it. So this note means a lot to me because this was from my very, very first social work job that I did about 12 years ago. And this was one of my very first kids that I did counseling with. And I connected with him on a very deep level. He went through a lot of trauma, a lot of grief, and we connected on various levels, let's just say. And he wrote me this on my last day of school when I was graduating. And he slipped it into my lunch bag. And then on the last day it was on my last day of working, so I wasn't going to see him again, and he slipped it into my lunch bag, and I found it. And then I actually saw him a year later, and I thanked him for the note, and he remembered that he wrote it for me, so I carry this everywhere with me, and it means a lot, so. Oh, gosh. Oh. Okay. The next thing is, what's this?
a spatula. No, a whisk.
A whisk. Got a whisk up. What are we baking today?
Cookies.
Cookies? I would love to. Maybe we'll make some. So I love baking. Baking for me is another creative outlet for me. So my handy dandy whisk, this is just a generic one. I have so many of them because I love baking. This is something that I do when I'm happy, when I'm sad, when I'm grieving, when I'm upset and mad. This is something that I do. Hello. The baby, we are just vibing. I love baking, and I think that food is universal language, and it doesn't matter where you come from, what language you speak, food can speak to you. So if you ever catch me baking you something, just know it comes from the heart. Yes, I might need some help, Julia. Oh my goodness.
Oh, I see it. Oh my gosh. I'm really sorry. I keep thinking I have it, and then I lose it, and then it's like a slippery fish. I know it's in there. Oh my goodness. Maybe we should take the, you know what,
Oh, okay.
and that might make it easier.
It might make it easier. Okay. Okay. Any last guesses? Anybody
cat,
from?
The cat.
It's a cat?
Or Pikachu?
Okay, it has a tail.
No, it's a Pikachu, a cat, a dog.
It is Scooby-Doo. It's a giant Scooby-Doo plushie, and he is neon. A neon yellowy green color. So obviously, I take him everywhere I go with me. I think this just speaks to my love. Do you love him? Oh my goodness. Yes, Scooby loves you too. So I love everything children's cartoons and books and shows, and I think that just shows my youthful side, my quirky side. I really think that I connect best with young people, and I think that's why I'm in this role after Julia passes the torch to me. So I'm really grateful that I'm here and I get to, work with all of you. So this just shows that, Scooby might make an appearance once or twice. He's going to stay in the rainbow room for a little bit. And I'm just going to leave him right here. So if you want to, cuddle him or touch him, you can.
He can hang out with the lion,
Oh, yes.
with our gigantic lion in there.
Very true. Thank you. Oh, yes, this. And, sorry, my throat. Oh my gosh, I think I need my coffee. Sorry. I'm talking too much. I'm just gonna speak while I do this, so. Okay, much better. Wow. Okay. So this is a little handkerchief. It has a border of blue stitches and a little red patch, I guess, that was also hand-stitched. This has been passed down, I think, 5 or 6 generations now on my paternal side. From my avó gave it to me. So avó means grandmother in Portuguese. I am a multiracial person, but I am very white passing, but I have a lot of different ethnicities within me. So a little bit about me. I am Brazilian Portuguese. I am Portuguese from Portugal. I am Iranian. I am indigenous. I'm French. So I've got a lot of different things about me, but this is from my Brazilian Portuguese side and Iranian side. So this passed down from generations and generations, and my avó actually passed away last year, and I know she would have been there at my wedding day, but she wasn't able to be there, so my tia gave this to me on my wedding day and decided that it would be great to hold this within my pockets in my wedding dress, which tells you a little bit something about me. I like to, I'm very, resourceful with my choices in what I wear. I had pockets in my wedding dress, and I kept this very close to me, and it means a lot to me. So I carry it with me, and I hope to one day pass it down to my children in the future. And I think that's everything that I carry with me in my bag. So
Thank you, Kat. I really feel like I got to know you so much better, and I think I can speak for everybody here. And not just because of what you brought, but just what the things you had to say about each thing and what they meant to you and how you treasure them. Thank you.
thank you.
Oh, and now we're going to go in and talk about what would be in our bags if we wanted people to get to know us better in the Rainbow Room.
And if you want to bring Scooby, bring Scooby.
Now is the time for joys and concerns. That's an intimate ritual in which you may choose to share a joy or concern in your life. This ritual will be edited out of the service recording to preserve our privacy.
We do have one a candle for historical UU. And this is a candle we'll light for, I'll say, complicated histories. Our historical UU this Sunday is James Lord Pierpont, who we all learned a couple Sundays ago is the author of Jingle Bells. You might have heard of it. And he was the son of a prominent Unitarian minister, a prominent abolitionist family. And the story, as I learned it, was that he was the rebellious preacher's kid who wanted Christmas music to be more fun and less stodgy. He ran away to join the theater, someone we could all relate to. And what I learned in the last week is that running away to join the theater in antebellum America meant running away to do blackface theater. And that Jingle Bells was a popular minstrelry song, and that he rebelled not only against the stodginess of his parents' church, but the abolitionist commitments of his parents' church. And so I wanted to make sure that we got the full story told here, and that as we own our historical figures as UUs, we should be sure we are owning the true story of them. So in honor of those true stories, we light this candle. And as always, our final candle is lit for all the sorrows that were too painful to speak aloud, all the joys that were too private to share. Know that whatever it is that you are carrying on your shoulders or in your heart today, it is carried alongside all of the many joys and sorrows of this community. And I hope that you feel that network of care lifting you up. Many thanks to all who shared, for allowing this community to be part of your joys and your concerns. Part of this congregation's mission is to empower spiritual growth. But we might not all be clear on what exactly spiritual growth means or what it looks like. So last Sunday, we had a service about faith and doubt and questioning some of the internal aspects of what spiritual growth might look like. And today we'll reflect a bit on the active, outward practices of spiritual growth. And I'll tell you that way back when I was just beginning to consider becoming a minister, I was looking at seminary applications, talking to mentors for advice, and one conversation made me suddenly doubt if I was actually on the right path when an older UU minister mentioned offhand that seminaries would want to hear me talk about my spiritual practice. I was raised UU, I was an atheist. I was like, I don't have a spiritual practice. Like, when I try and meditate, I just fall asleep. And when we get to the part in, my home congregation service, when the minister would say, a time for prayer or meditation, I would just look out the window where there was a tree to look at. So if everyone going to seminary is supposed to have some deep spiritual practice, then maybe I'm not cut out for this ministry thing after all. Should I just BS my way through and say that I totally meditate every day and I'm super good at it? To make a long story short, I did not end up lying my way into seminary. And I definitely still don't meditate every day. But before I could recognize my own spiritual practices for what they were, I needed to do a lot of relearning what counts as spiritual and unlearning rigid categories around my own sense of religion and belonging. Now, I know there are plenty of you here who are deeply spiritual people, who have long-standing prayer or meditation practices, devoted practitioners of mindfulness, and to you, I humbly tip my cap, and I am very grateful that we have you as part of this community. But I also have to imagine that I'm not the first or the last UU to feel occasionally stumped by the question, what's your spiritual practice? It's very easy to think of things that we do that could be called practices in the general sense, daily habits, like brushing our teeth or going to work, or longer term practices like rehearsing an instrument, playing a sport. I know that we have some devoted pickleball practitioners here. Anything that's repeated and deliberate is a practice of one kind or another. The real question is what makes a practice spiritual instead of just mundane? And who gets to decide what counts as spiritual? This is spiritual, that isn't. I love Gordon's observation that spiritual practice can sometimes be used to mean something I don't like or something that doesn't come naturally. Like we sometimes use spiritual practice to mean I'm making myself do this because it is good for me and I want to try it out. It's like the soul version of eating our broccoli or taking our vitamin D supplements all winter. Some distinctions between spiritual and mundane might seem obvious at first. If you're chanting in a temple, spiritual practice. If you're chanting in a sports stadium, maybe not spiritual practice. But we know as UUs that it isn't that simple, right? Our transcendentalist forebears didn't run away from the church and run out into the woods just for us to turn around and say that there are black and white definitions of what counts as spirituality. So let me propose a different defining question. Not, is this practice officially and recognizably religious? Is there incense? Then it's spiritual. But instead asking, does the practice connect you to something greater than yourself? Does this practice connect you to something greater than your individual self? Something greater might be God. It might be nature. It might be your ancestors, your community, or some higher plane of reality. But what changes if you let go of the expectations of prayer beads and candles and sitting in a pew and folding your hands, sitting this way, chanting that way, and begin to consider what you do, anything you do intentionally and repeatedly that connects you to that which is more than your individual self? What is it that you do that connects you? And suddenly the sports stadium isn't necessarily so unspiritual after all. There's this book, I have one copy, which I can lend to the first person who gets to me, published by Skinner House, the UU Association's publishing house, called Everyday Spiritual Practices. And each chapter in here is written by a different Unitarian Universalist about what they consider their spiritual practice. Each chapter is a different practice. I first read it back when I was applying to seminary and stressing about my inability to meditate properly. And it blew my mind. There are chapters about prayer and scripture reading and meditation, sure, but there are also chapters about quilting, a chapter on gardening, a chapter on doing the dishes, a chapter on martial arts, baking, parenting, even one writer who considers grief to be her primary spiritual practice. It's an incredible read to see them all alongside each other like that. And there's power in reframing so many aspects of our ordinary lives as something sacred, worthy of the label spiritual. I think there are many UUs and many people here at Neighborhood who might find meaning in one of these ordinary spiritual practices. We've talked here before about baking bread as a spiritual practice, about tattoos as a spiritual practice, singing as a spiritual practice. The Sufi Muslim mystic Rumi wrote that there are 100 ways to kneel and kiss the ground. There are 100 ways to kneel and kiss the ground, and if anything, he was undercounting. So how do you kneel? What is your unique way of kissing the ground? I think we UUs, multi-faith and pluralistic as we are, sometimes look first to other traditions to find practices that we might try out. Zen meditation, pagan ritual, all of these have a place. But what happens if before we reach out to explore the wide world of spirituality, we first do an inward inventory? What do we already do? What do we already do when we find we need to connect to God, to the earth, to our ancestry, our values, to one another? Because if we can identify those practices, then we can do them more, with more intention, more frequently, or invite others into them with us. For me, I've come to appreciate the ways that my daily practice of journaling, every day when I'm being diligent, every once in a while when I'm not, has long served me as a spiritual practice, centering and grounding me, forcing a reflective pause in otherwise busy days. And beyond the day-to-day, the practice of observing traditions in the context of my UU community. Candlelight on Christmas Eve, flowers in the spring, water in the fall. What I might have just called traditions or holidays are also a type of long-term spiritual practice. Repeating them is important, is meaningful. It connects us to something greater than our individual selves. So what about you? When do you feel most connected? Is there an activity, a place, a tradition? If you only do it once, it probably doesn't count as a spiritual practice, but if it's something you intentionally give your energy to, your attention to on a daily, weekly, or yearly basis. I mean, if you come to Sunday services, that's probably a spiritual practice of yours. On the other hand, there is a part of me that feels that if doing the dishes is a spiritual practice, then I'm not sure what the term even means anymore. If someone approached me while I was doing the washing up and asked, does this practice connect you to something greater than yourself? I would probably just dump soapy water on their shoe. And they could finish the rest of the dishes without me and connect to whatever thing they want to connect to. You know, everyone's spiritual life is different. We know that. Like, we accept and embrace everyone's spiritual life is different. But if everything counts as spiritual practice, then what is the point of even having the label at all, right? I don't want my message today to be just about splashing a layer of spiritual paint over what we were going to do anyway, calling our daily chores our spiritual practice, and then patting ourselves on the back for being very enlightened, very spiritual. Because here's the thing, it can't just be about labels. It can't just be an intellectual conversation. Spiritual practices have to actually be practiced. Simply changing the way we call our journaling or our dish doing isn't quite enough if it doesn't change how we live it, enact it, practice it. If we decide, say, that jogging or gardening are now officially our spiritual practice, but jogging is still all about tracking progress and making gains, hitting milestones, and gardening is all about putting compost in and getting produce out, then there's something getting lost in translation. If it's still about productivity, setting clear goals and checking boxes, then a practice isn't really going to fit what we mean by spiritual. UU minister Kathleen McTeague wrote once that spiritual time is like poetic time, more about process than product. The process is what matters. Going through it is the point. It is what changes you. Like standing on the bank of one river and pointing out your clear goal on the other side before jumping in, if you do it that way, you're just going to swim to that point. You're not going to get to experience what the river's trying to do in between. If you're focused on the opposite bank the whole time, you'll miss whatever experiential eddies and currents might end up turning you around and landing you somewhere you didn't expect. Once on a retreat with some fellow UU seminarians several years ago, a Muslim UU classmate offered to lead us in traditional dawn prayers. She went over the basics ahead of time, how to kneel and bow, say the right words, so I thought I knew what to expect. For me, this was an educational experience. My goal was cross-cultural understanding. But when the time came to splash cold water on my face and my hands, to kneel quietly and press my forehead all the way to the ground alongside my friends, I was seized with such a profound feeling of connection that I began to cry. There is something so visceral about the act of bowing low that brought home the vastness of the universe and the vulnerability of my own humanity. Now, I knew what the practice was ahead of time. I could picture clearly what it would be like to bow, to kneel, but my imagination couldn't match the experience. It couldn't fill in those things I had to actually practice when I explored a new form of prayer. And I can only guess at the impact it would have if I were to undertake that practice, say, 5 times a day, as is customary for many Muslims around the world. A spiritual practice changes you. The actual practice of it. Think about the vocal warm-ups Cathy led us in earlier. I bet you can imagine some of the notes now. Ooh, wee. Thinking about it can feel a bit like practicing it. But all the ways that our brains light up when we actually open our mouths and breathe together and vibrate and listen to one another's voices can't happen without doing it for real. And singing through once is quite different from practicing those warm-ups every day or every week for years and years at a time. Your relationship to the notes changes completely over time. Your physical body changes. Your vocal cords are shaped by the practice. And our spiritual lives are shaped by practice as well. I particularly love that we included the William James quote earlier in the service, that changing the inner attitudes of our minds changes the outer aspects of our lives. Because he's right. Getting your internal life in order can allow you to act in more thoughtful, just ways. But the opposite is also true. Our actions, our daily practices, how we spend our time can change our inner lives. Our decision to adopt certain practices will shape our spiritual selves. Trying new spiritual practices or finding ways to more intentionally honor our own already existing practices is part of our commitment to encouraging spiritual growth in ourselves and in one another. Growth takes practice. So whatever practices you named for yourself today as your spiritual practice, or maybe your spiritual practice, whether or not spiritual is the exact word you would use, is it something you feel you are committed to learning from? Open to being changed by? Is it centering? Does it make space in your mind and heart for something beyond the frantic day-to-day demands of a busy world? If so, you are on a path of spiritual growth. Do our practices together connect us to community, help us keep time, provide an underlying rhythm to the life that ties us to one another? If so, then we are on a path of spiritual growth together. My only regret in writing this sermon was that it had to be delivered in so many words rather than shown through practice. Part of me wishes I could have just led us all to a summertime pond where we could read a Henry David Thoreau poem and float on our backs listening to the trees. Then I could just gesture at the whole experience and be like, it's this, all that, feel that, all right, amen, like sermon over. And while we can't do that, this is a community that practices together. Just next week, we're going to practice pagan ritual in honor of the solstice. We have long enjoyed a community of practice here. And as we close the message and move into meditation, my goal is to try to capture a little bit of that showing rather than telling, and let us practice something together. So in connection with the vocal practice Cathy led us in, our meditation today is a humming meditation. In yoga practice, this is called humming bee breath, or Brahmari Pranayama. There are many other traditions that incorporate humming as a practice, as a way to calm breathing and use the literal vibrations of your vocal tract to help override our busy brains. It's one of my most grounding practices, and it's the exception I make whenever I'm on solo silent retreats. Silent, except for humming. So we'll take the next couple minutes, try to shake out your muscles. Find a posture that feels relaxed to you. And if you want to hear the sound bath of all our overlapping hums, you can listen. Or some prefer to do this practice with their hands cupped over their ears, which really lets your hum resonate and echo inside your own head. There's also a yogic posture associated with this practice when both hands are on your face, your fingers on your chin, on your lip, on your nose, on your eyelids, and then your thumbs blocking your ears, if you want to try that. You can also go back and forth between these various options as we all hum together. Together we'll feel the vibrations move up from our diaphragm, bounce around inside our heads. Your hum doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be a note. It doesn't have to match pitch with your neighbors. There'll be gaps and overlap and a cacophony of buzzing bumblebee breathing. So this is an invitation to let yourself feel this practice. Let it pick you up and carry you wherever it is it's going. When it's time for us to let our hums dwindle back into silence, I will ring our chime over there. And if you can't hear because your hum is too resonant in your skull, I'll ring the chime a couple of times to give you a chance. But for now, take a breath. And when you exhale, let it come out as a hum. Deep breath. May we continue to grow together, to resonate together in a community of practice. And with that, I will invite Cathy to lead us in song.
Here we are. So, following on the humming, can you sing this? Join me, please. Now, if someone wants to add a third above that, or another pitch above that, or below. Those are the last two notes of this song. Give me a thumbs up if you know this song, if you're familiar. We got all the love? Well, you're going to know it in just a minute then. Okay. We got all the love, all that we need to change our world. Hallelujah. We got all the love, all that we need. Blessed be. Let's do that same verse again with the word love. We got all the love, now that we need to change our world. Hallelujah. We got all the love, all that we need. Blessed be. Now with hope. We got all the hope, all that we need to change our world. Hallelujah. We got all the hope, all that we need. Blessed be. Who has another word that they'd like to contribute that we can put in this song? Joy. Joy? Let's do joy next. We got all the joy, all that we need to change our world. Hallelujah. We got all the joy, all that we need. Blessed be. I heard another one. Strength. We got all the strength, all that we need to change our world. Hallelujah. We got all the strength, all that we need. Blessed be. Another one. Peace. Peace. All the peace, all that we need to change our world. Hallelujah. We got all the peace, all that we need. Blessed be. Another one. Courage. We got all the courage, all that we need to change our world. Hallelujah. We got all the courage, all that we need. Blessed be. Drive. We got all the drive, all that we need to change our world. Hallelujah. We got all the drive, all that we need. Blessed be. faith. We got all the faith, all that we need to change our world. Hallelujah. We got all the faith, all that we need. Blessed be. One more, love. We got all the love, all that we need to change our world. Hallelujah. We got all the love, all that we need. Blessed be. One more love with clapping. We got all the love, all that we need to change our world. Hallelujah. We got all the love, all that we need. Blessed be.
Now is the time for our offering. Sharing of ourselves is part of every faith and every faith community. Members of Neighborhood choose a variety of ways to give, either through the offerings in the basket, QR codes, or from their banks. Now, I remember Bob Rafos, who this sanctuary is named after, even though he gave generously, used to make it a spiritual practice to put money in the basket each week. That way he modeled the spirit of generosity, but also he knew that the repetition of the act of giving helped him remember how important it was. So, as we contribute to the life of this community, we affirm our life within it. If you have found love and acceptance here, if you have found home here, if you have known kindred spirits here, let this offering be a token of gratitude for our common life as we build the common good. Greeters, please bring the baskets up afterwards.
Thank you. And as the baskets are passed, let me share just a few of the things happening in the life of our community. First, thank you to the carolers who braved the brutally cold night on Thursday to collect many bags of supplies, warm clothes for our Warm Hearts, Warm Hands support of our Out of the Cold shelter. If you're interested in another caroling opportunity, you can join the choir at rehearsal tomorrow evening and then join when they go caroling at St. Joe's Retirement Center later this week. The next slide. Tuesday night, thank you. Tuesday night, December 16th. And that's all are welcome if you want to come along on that caroling outing. Also, a big thank you to Julia, who is going to be retiring at the end of this month from her position here with us, but who we are celebrating today after the service, so stick around. After we've had a chance to chit-chat a little coffee hour, there will be a chance to say a big thank you to her. There will be cake. We have over here incredible, beautiful card in which you can write your messages of thanks. And they're also scattered around in the cappuccino room, these little canvases where you can express yourself more artistically and abstractly if you wish to. And these 4 canvases will be combined into one art piece that Julia will be able to take with her. So make sure you contribute to the art and to the written messages. And also just come up to Julia and let her know how much she has meant to you during her years here at Neighborhood. The holiday decorating team is interested in your opinions and your help. So if you have any thoughts about how we might decorate our sanctuary this December for the upcoming solstice and Christmas Eve services, message decorate@nuuc.ca. This Wednesday, December 17th, we'll have a candlelit blue holiday service. It starts at 7 p.m. That is a change time. We had previously said 7:30. It starts at 7 p.m. Doors open at 6:30. That will be a chance for anyone who finds this time of year difficult for any reason and wants a break from all the holly jolly and merriment. This will be a quiet space for whatever emotions you bring with you and a chance to connect with your community. The Yule service next Sunday will be starting earlier than our usual 10:30 time. That's because the winter solstice, the actual astronomical event, happens at 10:03 Sunday morning. So if you want to be here celebrating in community when that solstice happens, we'll be here with dancing and drumming starting at 10:03, and then the quote-unquote regular service will start at 10:30 as usual, and that will be a pagan service led by our own Kendrew. We're having a Christmas Eve evening service at Neighborhood, 7 p.m. on Wednesday, December 24th. This will be candlelight music and the chance to revisit the story and traditions of Christmas here with your UU community. It's an all-ages service, and there will be an opportunity for people of all ages to participate in a no-rehearsal nativity, if that sounds fun to you or anyone in your family. And we'll have cider and cookies after the service. Next Sunday, as I said, is our winter solstice service. We'll have community drumming led by Camilo, and we will have Kurt as our service weaver. As always, please check the screen in the cappuccino room where there's way more announcements. There's always more things going on. I actually have one additional announcement. Mark Tim has something to share from our Finance Committee.
Thanks, Reverend Sally. Yes, hi, very briefly, everyone. I'm Mark from the Finance Committee, and we're just getting up in front of you toward the end of this wonderful year here at Neighborhood to just remind those of you who are making regular contributions to just make sure that you're on track with your contributions for the year, and if you find that you're maybe able to even pitch in a little bit more now at the end of the year as your financial circumstances are clearer, we welcome that too. Thank you all for all that you do and contribute in all the different ways.
So Allison's going to join. Thank you, Allison, in a song, Heart of the Whole.
Everyone would like to get up. Yep.
We join in singing together, my voice but one part. And while we're singing together, beating as one heart, somebody hears the singing, how the singing wakes up and shakes up the soul. And pretty soon there is another voice singing, and another part of the whole. We join in working together, my hands but one part. And while we're working together, beating as one heart, somebody sees the working, how the working wakes up and shakes up the soul. And pretty soon there are some other hands working, and another part of the whole. We join in growing together, my dream but one part. And while we're growing together, beating as one heart, somebody feels the growing, how the growing wakes up and shakes up the soul. And pretty soon there is another dream growing, and another part of the whole.
So we're coming to the end of our service, and to close our sacred space, I invite Dave to come up again to extinguish our chalice. We have a tradition at Neighborhood of forming a circle and holding hands or putting hands on shoulders to end our service, and I invite you to do that now. And I'll leave the final words to Sally.
Thank you. Getting to learn a new song together in community today of We Have All the Love, I think was so beautiful. Getting to hear everyone's voice get a little bit stronger, the harmonies get a little more confident, and that is my wish for all of our practices in community as we join in singing together, as we join in working together, as we join in growing together. May our strength grow as one, and each time we roll through a practice and learn something new, we get a little bit better, a little bit more confident, and a little more integrated with one another. May we go out into the world today knowing that we are always, always learning, and that we are always, always practicing, and that we are always together. Amen, and blessed be. Go in peace.